Good morning, everyone. So, today might be a little bit different. I have nothing planned to talk about, except for maybe one thing. My head always goes through Power Rangers kind of thing, and it also goes through my speed paint stuff. One thing I thought I wanted to talk about was how long it takes me to create the stories for my speed paint, but then my head just kept going into Power Rangers, and more specifically, my brain just kept talking about with the Power Ranger crushes I've had in my life. And so I guess that's what I'm going to do today. The funny thing is, I actually have talked about it a couple times before on some of my other videos, but I don't know. If you guys actually want to know more about it, I do have ideas to create a video similar to, about this concept in the future. But when talking about Power Ranger crushes, it's a little bit odd for me. Or at least it feels odd for me. Because I know that this kind of thing is normal for the fan community, but I also just don't really know how to say it. But I mentioned it in my first ever video that my primary Power Ranger crush is Kira Ford, the yellow Dino Thunder Ranger. The reason for her being my main Power Ranger crush was mostly from the fact that Dino Thunder was the season that I grew up on, but also her personality was very attractive for me as a kid. She was not exactly a damsel in distress. She was a tough fighter. She was very independent. She was very strong about her beliefs. She had everything going for her that pretty much 5-year-old me thought was attractive. And so she pretty much stayed like my Power Ranger crush all throughout my life. And yeah, there was also her singing talent. That also helped out a lot. And then we also have when I got reacquainted with Power Rangers through Samurai and Megaforce. And for there, I pretty much had crush on, well, not as big, but has slight crush on Emily because she was so kind. She cared about everyone. She was just like it was a bit of a difference from the usual Yellow Rangers, but she felt like the girl next door kind of thing. And then with Megaforce, I undoubtedly had a crush on Gia. I guess Jake and I were a lot alike. But yeah, I loved how Gia was basically kind of like the second in command leader whenever Troy was gone. Like, I don't remember which episode it was, but it was one episode where Troy was just not with the others, and when the Rangers arrived to beat down the foot soldiers, the Loogies they're called. I hate that name, by the way. It's not Noah or Jake who basically says, let's get them. Instead, it's Gia. And she doesn't even say that. She just nods her head and everybody just goes. And that was kind of what I loved about her character. She was so tough. She was very independent. She basically didn't let anything get in her way. And yeah, I think I just have a thing for Yellow Rangers. But I also know I can't talk about Power Ranger crushes without talking about Kimberly as well. She was the OG Power Ranger crush for a lot of kids. And I'll be honest, I do see the appeal. She was an acrobat. Well, more specifically a gymnast, but kind of acrobatic. She was a singer. She was beautiful. She had such a lovely, caring attitude. And yeah, I'd say if I grew up in the 90s, she would have been my first Power Ranger crush. Undoubtedly. But then, if I talk about Kimberly, I do also get the feeling that I need to talk about Catherine, the second Pink Ranger. And I'll be honest, between the two of them, I kind of like Catherine a little bit more. I had a bit more of a crush on her than Kimberly. And I think part of that has to do with her accent. I don't know why. It was just like everybody else was with an American accent, but she came in with, I might be getting this wrong, but I believe she came in with an Australian accent. And I don't know, just her actual, it was also the fact that Catherine Sutherland, who played her, got to use her actual like accent and voice. I thought that was actually pretty cool. And yeah, it made a bit of a difference between all the characters. And honestly, I kind of like that a bit more about Catherine, because she was a little bit different than the others. And then I also can't really go on without also mentioning Tori from Power Rangers Ninja Storm. Because when Kira was my first Power Ranger crush, she was technically my second Power Ranger crush. Because I grew up with the Dino Thunder's Day of the Dino DVD, which had the first 3 episodes of Dino Thunder, but also the last 2 episodes of Ninja Storm. And that also made it very confusing for me with that show, because it was literally the final 2 episodes, so I had no idea what was going on. But I knew one thing. Tori was actually pretty cute. And then when I actually saw the whole season, that mentality just stuck. It was a little bit odd, I'll say, but very interesting. And were there any other Power Ranger crushes? Well, honestly, I think those are all the big Power Ranger crushes that I've had in my life. And I sadly can't go into Super Sentai crushes because, well, I've legit only seen like 1 season. Like, well, I'm trying to watch through the seasons, but in short, I've only seen like halfway through Aba Ranger, and I've only seen like 8 episodes of Mega Ranger, and pretty much only the first episode of every other season. So it's very hard for me to say if I have any crushes on that end. So yeah, there's not really much else for me to talk about for today. But thank you guys for watching, and let me know in the comments who your first Power Ranger crush was, and if they still are. But also leave a comment, ask a question on what you'd want me to talk about, or leave a question about anything that I've talked about in the past or you want me to talk about in the future. And also, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.